Okay, so relating to the relationship between Taiwan and China, it is mostly called the cross-strait relationship. Taiwan is referred to as the Republic of China, and then China is the People's Republic of China. So a lot of the times these are abbreviated, but I'm just going to call them Taiwan and China. So as for history, in 1949 is when the communists forced the original government out of China to Taiwan. So it was kind of like a refugee situation during the Chinese Civil War. And the original government of the communists, or the one in Taiwan, was supported by NATO and the United States during that move. But in 1979, the U.S. switched alliance to the communist one, to the one in the original China and the mainland, because they wanted influence against the Soviet Union. And this was around the Cold War time, so this was very important that the Soviet Union influence was reversed, and kind of the U.S. put themselves in a good position of defense against the Soviet Union. So old China on the mainland then tried to connect with Taiwan with something called the Three Links, and that was contract, commerce, and transportation. So they wanted to have that relationship with Taiwan so that they could kind of unite and become a stronger nation. However, the Taiwanese people responded with the Three No's contract, which was no contact, no compromise, and no negotiation. So obviously that was kind of an issue and a conflict, because they, got back this contract that just said, no, we don't want any contact. In 1987 is whenever Taiwan finally started to let their people go to China as tourists and as visitors. And that's when China also allowed the Taiwanese to come in. And then after that is whenever the 1992 consensus came into practice, saying that there is only one China, but neither decided to specify which was the real China. So that was interesting because there was no specification on who was actually the real China. So it was kind of funny because there still is no consensus on that. So currently, that's kind of a current history, but that was also a really long time ago. As of now, in 2018, they never have signed a peace treaty, so technically they're still at war, even though they aren't really conflicting as much as countries at war would be. They're still technically at war. China has passed a law preventing Taiwan from getting independence, so that's created a lot of tension, and that has been a conflict all the way up until now. In 2014, the two presidents, or the two leaders of the countries, met for the first time in since 1949, which was the beginning of the Chinese Civil War. So many meetings have occurred since then. They are all, during this meeting, they were trying to increase their economy, their trading relationship, and also travel opportunities and even healthcare. So they were trying to kind of create a more unified front. However, Taiwan is still trying to get independence. So in 2018, as of this year in April, Taiwan is severely trying to become independent. And that's causing the Chinese military to surround Taiwan and stop it from making more moves to independence. So there's people that are rioting the streets. There are people that are protesting because they want independence, but this is creating kind of a rouse among the Chinese military because they really just don't want them to secede. So Taiwan's goal in the end is for them to officially change their home, or change their name, from the Republic of China to Taiwan, and apply for a UN membership so that they can become a part of the UN and identify as their own country. This hasn't been seen yet, and they haven't done it yet, but that's the goal. So regionally, how this impacts, like I said, the relationship is very tense because the people in Taiwan want independence, but the people of China, or the government of China, doesn't want to give them that independence. So that's difficult. And since 2010, the economy has actually become very dependent on China. So that's a regional issue. A lot of tourism from the mainland to Taiwan is creating revenue. Exports and imports. China is Taiwan's number one export and import. So that's difficult as well. So that's impacting them regionally because it's all central. It's all between the two countries, and they are regional of each other. Beijing and Hong Kong or Hong Kong and Macau are also kind of in the same similar situation as China and Taiwan, whereas China owns and is the proprietor over um, Hong Kong and Macau, but they kind of want the same deal where they don't really want to be under China anymore. But they haven't made as many steps as Taiwan because Taiwan is separated from the mainland of China. It is actually a giant island off the coast. So it's a little easier for them to kind of declare independence, I would say. But that's just my opinion. Um, Globally, an issue that has been seen is that countries can have relationships with Taiwan or China, but they can't have it with both because of a newer named, very similar to the 1992 consensus. It's called the One China policy, and it is derived from the consensus, like I said. Um, it's the recognition that there's only one China, and that is not defined by anybody, but China thinks it's China and Taiwan thinks it's Taiwan. So um, you can't, as a country, you can't have a relationship with both. You can only have one. But the United States, because of our through the years, we've been very heavily involved. So they allow us to have relationship with both Taiwan and China without making any enemies. But no other country is really super successful like we have been with creating trades and relationships with both. So all in all, I think that the relationship will continue to be complicated until Taiwan either gets independence or they are okay with being a subset of China, which I don't think that will ever happen because the people are people, and I think that they want independence, and they want, because they are a separate island, they want to have a membership in the UN. They want to have their own name. They don't want to be that kind of subset lesser of China mainland. However, it would be very difficult for them to fully secede because of their full economic ties to China mainland. So I think that they are being very careful because of the military surrounding them, but also because they don't want to lose out on the relationship that they have economically with China. And if they do, then China might withdraw all contact, and that would just be really difficult for Taiwan. I think that they would completely lose their economy. So it's really difficult, but there's a lot of history, and I understand why why there's so much tension. But maybe we'll see some changes in the future.